A lot of people in chat are intimidated by it, but I'm just gonna tell you, you should embrace it. Embrace change in your life, because that is the path to growth. In the bottom left, we have the red Zerg player. He is SortOf.
And in the top right, it is the Italian stallion. It is Reynor. SortOf recently also embraced some change in his face, well, in his head more accurately. He shaved off his. Yeah, he has a great beard. He shaved his head though.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all. So now he has a beard and no hair.
Yeah, that's like some of the paths that you get to choose, and some of the paths you don't get to choose as much. But it could also be a stylistic thing. I've always had a giant 5 head, so everybody just asks me if I'm bald pretty much since I was 15 years old.
Yeah, that works. Have you ever considered the baby Buddha look?
I don't think so. Nah. No, if it ever goes that far, I'll go the tasteless route. His hair looks fantastic, doesn't it?
It does. Wait, what's
Tasteless made good. Tasteless made good calls. Tasteless made good calls.
Well, of course.
I don't know what kind of ancient ritual sacrifice he performed, but I will perform the same one, hopefully.
That sounds
one
good.
day.
All right.
Nothing crazy in the start of this game, right? I mean, I feel like whenever I would normally cast this, like if I was solo casting, I'd be like, they're both basically doing the same thing. Do people take quick thirds in ZVZ these days? Is there is there like an expectation?
Yeah, pretty much. The only cute thing that we see here is the pool. The pool positioning for both players is accounting for that the drone pool, 12 pool that we were talking about earlier. So they are looking to potentially wall off with hatcheries and whatnot, hatcheries and even that pool is in that corner. But other than that, everything pretty standard. Yep.
What causes you to end up doing that then? Just out of curiosity, what is that
like a 12 pool drone pool, and then you wall off, so you don't you cancel your
that
hatchery
main
and
ramp off like that. Wow,
it's sexy. Yeah,
I have not seen that happen.
Yeah,
I've only done a few of the ZVZs in EPT, but I haven't seen something crazy like that yet.
Yeah, I mean, on other maps, it has been easier in the past. On this particular map, I think that it was an NA Protoss, the wall. I think I saw Silky and Panda Vermi and Chase from Australia. Like it was a wall-off that was developed by a few players, and then it kind of just spread all over the place because, it works. So pretty nice stuff.
Yeah. That makes me think of like weird ZVZ meme stuff, like the one that you did against Cyril, right? At some point, I think. That was one of the matches
Evo Chamber Block?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool, huh?
You do like tricky things with like broodlings as well. People make weird things happen there with their buildings when they die as Zerg too.
Hell.
Baneling Nest, Evo Chamber. Nothing super wild. Do you have an expectation of who's going to be more aggressive in this series? Like, is SortOf going to try and play ball?
I mean, SortOf can play ball. That's the thing. I think that the mistake that Reynor could make here is to not try to trick and throw SortOf off balance. Because if we let Ricard do the mechanical magic, he's gonna do mechanical magic. He can keep up with anyone. That is not a nickname that he has earned for no reason.
It's not a frivolous nickname.
Yeah, it's really not. He's an amazing mechanical player, proving it against the laser. And one of his weaknesses, in my opinion, is just how methodical he is. He is too methodical to the point that if he doesn't have an if-then, he might just get a little bit lost.
Okay, so you think this is just a little bit of like over-planning and a little bit less like flexibility in terms of on-the-fly decision-making is maybe a weakness?
If you ever watch SortOf's decision or SortOf's stream, you will notice from his speech patterns, he will say, this is what you do. Like he says, yeah, against this, you do this, and against that, you do this, and you do this. And it's not a very free approach in that sense, right? It's a very restraining approach, and if he doesn't know what to do, then that's when he struggles. So,
oh my goodness. Well, a big question I think every human who tried to play StarCraft Pro in the last 2 years has asked themselves is, what do you do when Reynor gets Zerglings in your mineral line? And already looking like a pretty nice start for him. He leveraged that larva into the Zerglings early on, sort of kind of got that drone lead, but losing 10 workers, slowing down your path a little bit. Not super fun position to be in, Kat, but
Not at
The
all.
+1's going to finish earlier for Reynor, but I don't think he can really take advantage of that until speed's done, right? Like, it's really hard to leave your base with slow roaches, or like, I guess maybe more so risky to do that.
Yeah, SortOf is going to scout all the gases as well, and that is 5 gases for Reynor, just avoiding the one in his main for the time being. So this kind of looks like Muta if you are SortOf. Minus the fact that the wall is upgrading. Like if he checked Reynor's wall and he saw all of this wiggling around from this building, so he probably knows there's some semblance of roaches, but I'd be scared about the potential for Muta still. Oh man.
These Lings, though. I mean, Reynor and Zerglings. Name a more iconic duo. Like this is Reynor's fettuccine Alfredo here. It just kind of works. It hits the spot every time, cats. And
It really does.
That's hard. It's the hardest thing about playing versus him. You know, when I think about ZVZ, like Zerg is the one race that doesn't really do like the walls everywhere. So getting matched against the guy that does all the run bys and slips stuff by all the time, like it's just got to be, it's exhausting. It has to be exhausting playing ZVZ against a guy that can do Ling run bys as well as Reynor.
Yeah, and it's not just that, but everything that he's doing behind it, right? He's still ahead in the +2 attack. Like he just doesn't miss a beat while doing that is the amazing part. Because technically, oh no, Ricky.
Oh, he attacked his own roach, and that gave him enough time. There's still Lings, by the way. Ling run bys happening while he's going for this roach push, cats. And this is, I don't know what to say. This just incredible, decisive action being taken by Reynor, and he just smacks SortOf down in game 1.
Yeah, that was really painful. I mean, just a handful of Lings really through and through winning that game for Reynor decisively. So I feel a little bit bad for SortOf. I mean, you know, that's the kind of game that you kind of want. Reynor didn't do anything surprising. He just did, you know, he just said, hey, this is what I usually do, what most people do, but these are my Zerglings. Can you do? And SortOf was like, no, I can't do it.
No, you'd think a handful of cheap units that just have to hit with melee would be a little bit easier to shepherd around and keep out of your base, but not when you're playing against Reynor, and not when you're playing against Herald as well. I feel like when I think of similarities between those two, it's you will never have an open door that they aren't constantly checking or throwing units into. And even if it's just a couple of Lings, if you don't look, if you don't move your forces, like, yeah, your drones could kill 3 Zerglings, but if you don't notice for, 30 seconds, all of a sudden half your drones are dead.
Yeah, and people might think, oh my God, like in my games, I always try and the doors are never open. But you have to take into account also that these players know when a door is more likely to be open, right? Like queens have to transverse through doors to move to bases, for example. So you can expect if they just move through the door to get to somewhere, maybe it's open now, and so on and so forth. And this is something that they do very well, and so they have the right guesses as well of when the door might be open.
Yeah, it's hard. That's the thing. It's interesting when you look at stuff like that between like mid-level and high-level games. Part of what makes it sometimes easier for these guys to be able to get the counterattacks and harass is the other guy's moving so fast, right? Like it's not like he's staring at his base to do his inject and then moving each individual drone to all the mineral patches. Like it's high-speed StarCraft. When you look at the first-person perspective of these players, it's flying all over the field. So weirdly enough, being that fast at the game, if you miss those handful of Lings, you're not always going to be looking at that base for an extended period of time to make the defense happen.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to also try to know where your opponent's attention is at that high level of play. And if sometimes like, you don't attack move. You wait until your units are in the best position possible to, inside, say, the SCV or the drone line before you really attack move. And little tricks like that can really enhance your probabilities for damage when you start taking your opponent's attention into consideration. Will this man continue to do that? I would expect so. He is brilliant. He is Reynor.
Representing Clash, fantastic Zerg. His opponent, trailing 0-1. Can he bring it back? Rickard Mechanics Bergman. It is SortOf. Looks
Very
like playing
powerful.
for Cosmos Esports.
Yeah, Cosmos Esports. They recruited Special for a little bit, but then they released Special, I want to say, like very shortly thereafter, and then they got SortOf. Not sure what went on there.
I think Special collects team jerseys.
No, not
Probably
anymore.
like he collects like Pokemon cards, you know?
He's trying to do better, though. He's trying to do better. The thing is, he joined, and he basically told them, "I need a team." Like he said, you know, the offer is not good enough, and Cosmos wanted to support him regardless, which is so very nice of them. So I'm not sure exactly what happened post factum, but Special, I think he's trying to do better. You know, he's stuck with the same name, Nate, for like now.
That's true.
5 years, 6 years.
I did not think that Special as a name would last. When he made that change, and then, you know, we get like the documents from Blizzard, they're like, you got to call him Special now. He's changed his name. He's not Major. And you got to like try to correct yourself. I'm like, no, we're going to be back to calling him Major within probably like one or two WCS seasons. But he has, you know, he's been able to stick to a change, and that being able to show that capability in and of itself, he could change many other things in his life as well, Cats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the original premise, though, I can't disagree with. Special has been en route for 4 times. It's record holding. So his last announcement was 4th time's the charm. I thought that was
nice.
But yeah, either way, he is not in this game, but we'll get to see him later against Kelazur. So if you guys stick around, that should be a great finals for the Latin American portion of things right after the EU is concluded.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting to see who comes out on top. Latin American finals coming up after all of this. I'll give the fair warning now. Obviously, we've had a good amount of 2-0s, so there may end up being a good bit of a wait there for that when we finish up with the EU matches. But regardless, we're going to play them out, and it should be good times.
Yeah, these 4 links are nasty. These 4 links are incredibly intelligent circlings, because the 2 that run in the front were seen by the Overlord at the front of SortOf. If we look at the position of that Overlord in front of the base of Reynor from SortOf, he showed those 2, that one. But the rest of them were not seen, because the Overlord of Reynor sees the Overlord of SortOf. He knows where he can avoid that location, and look at what it's netted him. A lot of damage onto this hatchery, because SortOf had no way to be ready, just because his Overlord was a little bit off position, and his opponent is willing to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it can have the snowball effect too. Reynor does have a few more links coming in to reinforce. He's continuously building them. So they're going to get us around on the queen next to this hatchery. Now, of course, the other queen is going to be able to only reinforce slowly. There is one baneling in play for SortOf to try and shut this down, but there's one thing that Reynor's good at, as we've said it a million times, Cats. It's the Zergling control.
Jeez.
So far, he's been winning this fight, but 2 banes are going to finish morphing right in his face. He pulls back at just the perfect time.
Yeah, but at this point, I mean, Reynor hasn't been reinforcing this too much. He's making banelings way in the back, so he's still looking to apply the pressure. SortOf is 3 workers ahead only, but this is a good baneling hit.
Yeah, that's the first solid detonation going in his favor there. Of course, things to keep in mind, he's got his own banelings coming forward, and at a later point, if he makes a jump on that hatchery, it's still not really that high hit point, so it's going to be a target for the run-bys, for the harass.
Oh, very nice targeting by Reynor, though.
Man, looks like he tried to manually detonate that baneling. Almost got a big hit on SortOf. He's going to get surrounded. Another queen kills the queen by the 3rd base, too. More queens continuing to die. That's really going to affect the larva production for SortOf to even try to get more units out, right?
Good baneling hits from SortOf, though, morphing those 2 banelings as well, while the 3rd baneling comes to protect him. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough. He needs to attack those circlings right now.
Yeah, gets the cancel on the baneling. The focus fire has been disgusting from Reynor. That 3rd is super dead. And, you know, you look at the stats, you try to look at the numbers, and like, well, SortOf he has the drone lead. He squeezed out a few more during this. So he has a lot of workers, but if he can't spread them out and, you know, take advantage of the more access to mineral patches to use those workers on, and the income that he gains will not necessarily be enough to turn the tides and allow him to outproduce Reynor.
Oh, I gotta say, Nate, I would hate playing against Reynor in this particular game, because the guy has attacked nonstop while spending all of his money perfectly behind it. You know, like we see SortOf having these moments of sloppiness where you say, like, where is he looking? Well, he has to macro at some point. Like, the fight has been happening for like you know, 5 minutes straight out of the 6 minutes of the game. Oh,
and
big
Reynor
round.
hasn't. You talk about the economy difference. Reynor didn't have to rebuild queens. He gets another run by in, and GG is called.